All right, golfers, we're in position one. Position one is your setup. There's so many details that are gonna dictate what type of shot you hit and how solid of a shot you're gonna hit. Once you understand the grid, or once you understand this setup that we have mapped out here, I really, really believe it's gonna pay high dividends for you and your golf game. We wanna talk about the role of the spine, the shoulders, and the hands at address. Now, the first thing is we want to work this off of the eyeballs and where my left ear is. So in my setup, unless I'm trying to hit a low bump and run chip, my eyes should never start in front of the golf ball. On a standard full swing, we want to get the ball to go right through my left ear, which puts my eyeballs behind the golf ball. Now, obviously, if I grip it correctly, you can see I got those hands positioned just on the inside of my left leg, excuse me. But now my eyes and my nose are slightly behind the golf ball, encouraging my spine to either be neutral or slightly to the right. That positions my right shoulder ever so slightly below my left shoulder, and that creates a square shoulder plan. Now, as soon as I start moving my shoulders level or even trail shoulder higher, my spine gets a little bit left. My head now is on top of the ball or in front of the ball. This, my friends, is on your way to hitting top golf shots. Anytime we get our eyes and our center of our chest in front of the golf ball, we are giving ourselves a pretty good chance of topping it or making some correction at the bottom, resulting in inconsistent contact. Chances are a ball that's filtering way out there to the right of your plane. So if I can get in my setup, right shoulder squared, left shoulder is a little higher than right shoulder. I got my hands on correctly, and now based on where I want to move that ball in my stance is going to dictate height and curve. But if I can keep it right here with a 9-iron about center stance, I'm on my way to making a good swing. All right, so now we're jumping into position two. Position two is a very vital position as it pertains to your success. So number one, position two is as soon as you start your golf swing and the golf club arrives at position two, or club shaft parallel to the ground. Now, at club shaft parallel to the ground, we can learn so much from each and every golfer, and there's almost a direct correlation between what happens at two and how the golf club works its way into the golf ball. So what do we see often? We see whether you're seeing a rolling of the forearms, a standing up of the body. But what we do know is this golf club gets out of position immediately at the start of the golf swing, and it really doesn't need to, guys. We really can get a better hold on what this golf club can do, and if you can get this in alignment, your entire golf swing becomes more in alignment. So what we have is in the grid, you'll see these white lines. This is my target line, my baseline, however you want to word it, where my golf ball would be positioned. And at position two, I like to see the shaft, and you can see I have a little bit of an extender here out of the club shaft here. I like to see this golf club parallel to my target line, which is that white line. I don't want to see the club inside that line. I don't really like to see it too far outside, though we see more people there than they are here that play professionally. But this is one of your death moves. As soon as that golf club gets behind the hands, as soon as that position starts to happen, you have a whole world of compensations ahead of you. We want to have a concrete plan. We want to create structure to your golf swing, whether we're referring to your body, whether we're referring to your hands, whether we're referring to your club head. And learning how to trace these tilts, these turns, the swing, from setup to the top is going to organize your swing and make that downswing just mindless. You don't have to think a whole lot about it if we can get you to the top in a better way. Now we're going to position three. Now let's define position three first. Position three is referencing my left arm as it's parallel to the ground. Where is this golf club when I'm parallel to the ground? Where are my shoulders pointing when I'm parallel to the ground? And this is an important piece, because what I see is a lot of students start coming out of posture, start losing their tilt, start losing their bends at this point, and that starts moving this golf club and creating a mind of its own. We want to ensure that our pressure points, we want to ensure that our tilts are in position to maintain control, to maintain structure in the backswing. So as I swing this club back to position three, what I like to see in position three is that my left arm now, whereas before the club was parallel to this white line, now we start to see the left arm start to squeeze into the left pec, start to work inward, I'd say between 10, 12, and 15 degrees. Now, as soon as I start to squeeze that left arm a little deeper, or the club starts to work up and away from me, or inside me, excuse me, A reference point now is where is this stick, where is the extender pointing? And now that should be pointing still at the baseline. So as I go from 2 up to 3, to maintain the shaft in the proper angle, or to maintain the exact angle that we want, to maintain where the right elbow should be, or the trail arm should be, where the left arm should be, where the wrist angle should be, we want to see a golf club that sits on this incline, on this angle. We don't want it too vertical, and we certainly don't want it flat. Again, the greatest reference point is where is the extender coming out of the shaft. And now if I'm in this point, as long as my left shoulder is still tilted, as long as my spine is still bent over, now I'm in a position that I can really start to build this golf swing. So position 3 is left arm parallel to the ground and understanding the position of the left arm as it pertains to the backswing. All right, position 4, guys. Position 4, by definition, is the top of the swing. Now, the top of the swing, by my definition, is the position right before the club changes direction. Second thing about position 4 is done more for momentum. So as we go up to 3, again, which is left arm parallel to the ground, the momentum of the turn and the tilt, the momentum of the swinging of the hands usually arrives us at 4. So in more times than not, position 4 is automatically done. That's not something that you have to think about. That's not something that you have to even practice a whole lot of. But just so we define that position, at 4, left arm is at its furthest point, swinging and squeezing across the left pec. Position 4 is where my handle is furthest from the golf ball, creating as much depth as I can. And position 4, I've now tilted my left shoulder or my lead shoulder a full 90 degrees, and I've turned a full 90 degrees. And you can see where that stick is pointing. So if I went from 1 to 2 to 3, 4 now is pointing down this orange stick. And the butt end of the club ideally is pointing, if I really start extending this club here, it's pointing as far down the target line as possible. So what you start to realize is as I start to trace the club back, after the club being parallel to the ground at 2, the butt end of the club, aka the orange stick coming out of my club, is always tracing that orange stick on the ground. The left shoulder is always tilting down, following that orange stick on the ground. My hip is always tilting to the ground. So you can see that there's a purpose and a placement to train these hands. And if you're patient enough and you're diligent enough to build this and understand, how do I move my club all the way up from 1 to 4, and we'll start working our way back down 4 all the way down to 10. But if you can map out position 1 through 4, I promise you, you are going to be such a more confident golfer, and you're going to be a more structured golfer, and you're going to have a lot more fun playing this game. Now we're talking about position 5. So 4 is the top of our swing. 5 is the minute the left arm works its way back down on the downswing. So position 3 and position 5 actually are virtually the same spot, just my weight has started to shift a little bit left. Now this is a loaded question. This is such a fun one to kind of talk about and discuss. Now it's different sometimes from golfer to golfer, but we're going to give you a little bit of a more generalized answer here. So as I get to 4 and I have my club pointing on the baseline, I have my left shoulder tilted and my club in a really good position, I want to start focusing on getting this right elbow to not get stuck behind me. I'm certainly not letting that right shoulder start tipping outside. That's something you see a lot with the slicers. But what we want to feel is an independent movement from the right elbow, right forearm, club head, back down in front of me, bringing my club to position 6, which is shaft parallel to the ground. So what I don't want to do is have any movement outward with my right shoulder. I don't want to tip the shaft. I want to take my right elbow, almost like I'm making a muscle, and I'm moving this right elbow, this whole unit here at my trail arm. I'm moving it down in front of my chest. Now, if this was a spear and I was about to just stick it in the ground, as I come down from the ground, I wouldn't stick it falling back where my right shoulder falls back. I definitely wouldn't spin my shoulder. I'd feel a nice acceleration of my right hand driving into the ground. And if I can get this golf club working on this angle, and you can see I'm throwing it down in front of the ball. I'm throwing it down in front. I'm not worrying about the club head hitting the ball. At this point, I want to move the butt end of the ball down in front, right elbow working down in front of me, and right shoulder actually from 4 to 5 is going to feel like it's pretty level. So it's not working under this way. I'm moving it towards the ball. I'm shifting my centers a little bit left on top of the ball, but I'm independently moving that right shoulder, right elbow, okay? So that's our position 5. Now as we get to 6, so 5 is left arm parallel to the ground, 6 is shaft parallel to the ground. Now at this point, you could see this automatically, that my right elbow now has worked its way in front of my stomach. My club shaft is back to being parallel to my target line. My shoulders are level, my hips are level, and my knees are level. Not only are they level, they're squared. Everything is squared back to the baseline. I'm not closed, I'm not open. I've returned this club back to square. Hands are in the middle of my chest, club is laying right here where everything's parallel to the ground. And now I'm ready to accelerate this golf club. So what I want you all to understand is if 4 is the top, 5's left arm, 6 is shaft parallel to the ground, we're not racing to hit this ball yet. We're trying to get our elbow, we're trying to get the club, everything down in position. We want this falling down in front of me. Then the accelerators are gonna kick in. I see too many times that the accelerators are happening too early in the downswing. And if we can all collectively be better at this, if we could all collectively be a little bit more patient from the top down, together we can all become better golfers. So now impact is position 7. And this is where a lot of my lessons take place in person, where we're doing a lot of half swings, trying to really hammer in position 7, position 6, position 8. So what those positions are, is obviously as I'm coming down, I'm in 5 with left arm parallel to the ground, 6, now the club's in front of me, right elbow's in front of me, handles over the inside of my right leg. Now I want to learn how to punch the ball and extend my arms. This is literally one of the most important pieces in all of my coaching. Can you take the golf club from my right elbow being bent, my club being in an angle position, can I shift, extend my arms, and extend them through with my spine? So what's happening is going from 6 into 7, my chest is covering the ball, my handle is getting over that lead leg, and I'm in that PGA Tour iron ball strike where I'm really compressing the ball. But now from this point, I want my handle to rise, I want my legs to rise, and now I'm taking my hips and I'm rotating them 90 degrees at my target. So let's understand this again. I go from 6 where it's bent, 7 where I'm shifting into my lead side and I am driving down on that golf ball, chest is on top of the ball, and now as the ball collects off the face, my handle is rising, my knees are rising, my arms are rising, and this is where my right hip finishes over my left hip with extended arms. If you can create this look where the hips are forward, pointing at your target, my arms are extended, and my legs are extended, now you're creating a pretty efficient follow through, but you're also creating a golf swing that doesn't require much guessing at the bottom. You're going to hit golf balls that have a different sound, that come off differently, that have that nice crisp divot behind it, and one that you're not just controlling the yardage, you're controlling the trajectory. And that is one of the most important pieces to be able to score, is controlling height of the ball, controlling landing distance of the ball, and controlling the center of the strike. We've talked about 6, 7 impact, 8 shaft parallel to the ground. Now, not only are we starting to create some speed of the handle, but we're leveraging the body. This is where the body is designed to come up. This is where my legs should start to extend. Now, why do we want that? So many people are trying to stay down, keep their head down, keep their body down. Well, how else are my hands supposed to rise? How else is my club supposed to move to where my arms extend? So this is the radius on the opposite side of the backswing. We want those arms to be long. Now as I get to 8, this is where we start to recock the wrists. So going back to my grid here, once I get around 8, this is where you'll see the shaft is pointing back down to the ground. And then as I go to 9, this is where my chest starts to rotate. So 8, I go from extended arms, I start hinging them, and I rotate my chest. Now, this is where it starts changing from driver to iron, but staying with the whole iron idea here, is that your follow through, which eventually will be 10 when you start to rehinge this club. You want your trail arm to swing across your chest. Okay, so this is going to create a more downward attack angle. This is going to stop these early extenders. You want that right arm being parallel to the ground on the follow through. So if I go from 6, 7, 8, I start to rise. 9, I start to swing my right arm across the chest. And 10, I lift everything up into my follow through. And this creates that PGA Tour finish. And by you guys understanding that, what creates it, at what point does this happen? All of this, it's a lot of information to take in, but if you can map these out piece by piece by piece, slow motion without a golf ball, especially over the winter time or the off season, you're going to be well on your way to creating a more systematic approach to your golf swing. So as the club's coming down, shaft parallel to the ground, a good checkpoint is, are my hands at least over my right leg, preferably slightly on the inside of the left leg? Are my shoulders level? Are my knees level? All right, so now we're in a position where I can start to extend this club, and I start to extend the club head and allow the handle to start to move up. So you can watch from as I start to get to 6th, now as I push down into the ground, I'm going to start pulling up, and this is where I want the club to get long. The only way for me to properly shallow this club and get the energy from the grip into the club head is by me starting to get tall. All right, so as I start to get tall, now to kick in the last piece, the last motor, the last accelerator, we want to get a narrower arc, which is me rehinging it. So if I wanted to hit a low punch shot, obviously my arms would extend forward. If I want to start to create a little bit more height and trajectory, I'd create a rehinge. And if I want to create a lot of extra trajectory, I would tuck my hips forward a little bit more and arch my shoulders. So highest follow through, highest ball flight follow through would be hips forward, recocking of the wrists. Lowest follow through would be a shorter finish, but my arms fully straight out, no wrist cock. Again, these are things I want you to practice. I want you to practice hitting them low. I want you hitting them high. But if you can get yourself on top of that golf ball and organizing your finish to create for the golf shot, I think you'll be on your way.